My niece is graduating from Vanderbilt
All right. What an accomplishment.
right now.
That's
Sophia
awesome.
Starkey.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's
Engineering,
awesome.
civil engineer.
Excellent, smart girl.
She is.
Y'all all ready?
Huh?
Is everybody ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5.
By the
That's all we
skin of our
needed.
teeth. Yeah.
I think so.
That's what
Is
I
that,
said
isn't that
too.
right? 5's a quorum for this?
I think so. Yeah, there's only 7.
Come on, Jack, help me out.
Hate to be here and not have a quorum.
I know.
Carl.
6.
And then say, or their officially appointed alternates. But we have a quorum there.
I think that's right.
Correct.
Yeah, 5, yeah, 9, because nine's in the board, so yeah, we got a quorum.
Yeah, there's 9.
We are looking on the inside, and that folder seems to have disappeared on us. We're going to look
We're good though.
I think he's checking on the quorum rule.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm counting 9 members, so 5's got to be a quorum, I would think.
Yeah, we're good.
What is this where it says Ms. Starkey at the meeting at 10:12, Starkey 10:19? Where was this?
We do. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Citizens Advisory.
We'll go ahead and see you. You can participate. We'll have you abstain from voting. Go up here. Okay.
We ready? Everybody ready? Clerk, we good? You ready to go? Okay. I want to call the meeting of the Metropolitan Planning Organization to order. It's Thursday, May 12th, 2022. It's 10:02. And let's see, we'll start off with the invocation and pledge. I want to welcome everybody, but let's stand for the invocation.
O merciful Creator, your hands open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, could we please have the roll call?
Mayor Camille Hernandez. Mayor Scott Tremblay.
Bill Colombo representing City of Port Richey for Mayor Scott Tremblay. City Councilman.
Councilman Matt Murphy.
Here.
Commissioner Ron Oakley.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Moore. Commissioner Catherine Starkey.
Here.
Commissioner Christina Fitzpatrick. Commissioner Jack Mariano.
Here.
Chairman Lane Smith.
Here. All right, I do want to welcome everybody, and I'm sorry, could I get your name again?
Bill Colombo.
Bill Colombo. Bill,
C-O-L-O-M-B-O. Everyone loves to put a U in it.
very good.
Thank
Well, welcome, we're glad you're here, too. And then also, I believe that the Dade City representative is no longer Camille Hernandez, correct?
That is correct. Mr. Scott Black was officially designated as a representative on Tuesday, and given the short notice, he was unable to join us today.
Sure, and I know Scott has been on the MPO before, so he's familiar with it. But I did want to say one thing that I thought, I hate losing Camille because she was a good member. And I hate that I wasn't here for her last to kind of let her know how I felt. So, but I did call her, and we lost a very good leader, but she decided to do something else, so I certainly understand that. Okay, and we do have a quorum. Now we're at the point of the agenda for call for public input. Do we have anybody here to speak? No one? And I don't know, are we doing it at the kiosk anymore or no? No more kiosks. That's a good thing, right? All right. Okay. And what I forgot to welcome everybody. I'm glad everybody's here this morning. Had good weather over. Had a nice little drive over from Zephyr Hills. And I'd ask that you silence your electronic device so it doesn't go off during the meeting. And we are glad that you're in attendance today. Our first item is the approval of the prior minutes.
Move for approval. Second.
Have a motion and a second for approval of the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Now the MPO Advisory Committee reports. Who is going to give those for us?
Good morning, everyone. This will be quite brief. The Citizens Advisory Committee and the Technical Advisory Committee met prior to this meeting. They approved the UPWP, which is on your agenda, and the items you'll be seeing today. The only item of note is that the Citizens Advisory Committee has asked that you get a presentation, as well as they, on the intersection of US 41 and State Route 52 at your next meeting. That is it. Again, you have a short agenda, so did they. So that's the summary for those two meetings. Are there any questions for me, please?
State, if you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
State that again, what'd you say about US 41 and 52?
The intersection, yes.
What-
I'm
what-
sorry, 54. My apologies. 54.
54 and 40.
54, my apologies.
And you said they were looking for an update, or?
They want to have an update, yes.
Okay.
So we'll be having that presented. My apologies.
Today?
June meeting, please.
Excuse me. Okay. What's the date?
All right, any questions? No? You ready to do the BPAC?
Yes, sir. Dr. Stovall couldn't be here today. He started summer school, so, and I just want to take this opportunity, just really quick, the BPAC started meeting monthly this year, and they've been just really engaged with several projects, so they've done such a great job, and they had a session working with Long Range on the new comp plan the last meeting. But I'm going to read Dr. Stovall's report. We met on April 27th. We met at Starkey Ranch Theater Cultural at 5:45 Wednesday, April 27th. There were two members of the public present, one which was particularly interested in the progress of the final route of the Hardy Trail to the Withlacoochee Trail connection. Member Joel Jackson informed the group that this would be his last meeting as a committee member. Mr. Jackson provided insights and contributed to all meetings during his tenure. He was wished well in his future endeavors. He will stay on as an alternate for that district as well.
Was he the guy from Hillsborough?
Yes,
Oh, he's leaving. Oh.
there was considerable discussion on draft lists of project priorities. The committee noted that a significant portion of the new project priorities and scoring relates to overall safety and projects of the projects. The committee further noted that this was the first project priority ranking to be produced based on the newly adopted criteria. The committee recommended via motion that the original ranking list be followed as determined by application of the ranking criteria. This ranking should result in the projects that are rated as less safe to be ranked lower in general than more safe projects. We post the plan report of the draft transportation improvement plan until the next meeting. Finally, we had an opportunity to hear from the consultant team working to help update the county comp plan, Pasco 2050. Consultant asked members as to give some big picture issues facing the county. Growth in population and impact of this growth was a significant theme of this discussion.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Tina on that?
So, Tina, do we need to appoint someone else to
You
be
will
back?
be doing that today
Oh, okay.
for one of these districts.
Okay.
Nothing? Thank you, Tina. We appreciate it. All right. Now we are on to our action items. We do have two action items. The first is the approval of the UPWUP, right? Is that what you call it? Easier than saying the whole thing.
So briefly, this is our 2-year work plan, and it is effectively our grant for federal funds. It will cover the period of July 1 this year through June 30th of 2024, and think of it as our business plan for the next 2 years. You can see on the screen the funding amounts by state fiscal year. We do need your formal approval of this item in order to then be the recipient of federal funds to operate the staff of the MPO. So we would appreciate your vote on this. Any questions?
Commissioner Mariano.
Thank you. Carl, on The MPO's grant application program, I know you're used to going through the state, trying to get funding, et cetera. Recently, we had a presentation done how industrial lands are very important to the county. We need to create jobs, and we had some issues in Hudson. And I just had you up at the Hicks Road project the other day. I just found out yesterday that that property actually falls into an opportunity zone. Do you ever do applications through the MPO to try to get opportunity zone money through the MPO?
To my knowledge, we've not done that in the past, and I would have to look at that. I'm not familiar, I know just a little bit about the opportunity zones. I'd want to look at that and make sure that we don't overstep a line in terms of eligibility. Maybe something we partner with the county where we could provide the transportation side and someone has to provide a land use part of an application.
Right, I'd just be look at the transportation aspects of it, because there's a few different projects that I've been working with that could work in that area anyway, but, yeah, I'd like you to take a look at that. If that does apply where you can do it, then that just gives us another avenue.
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions, Carl, on this item?
I guess I would ask the same thing I asked before, just because we're anticipating the signature on an appropriation for a youth sports complex. And if that does come through, then we have to work fast on at least part of a road. We can still come in and modify whatever we need to if we have some contractual requirements for that.
We do have that ability, yes.
And I think that is a good point to bring up, that this isn't, I mean, this can be modified, this plan, correct?
Be both modified or amended as needed,
Okay.
yes.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval?
Second.
I have a motion and a second for approval, and I think this is a roll call vote on it.
Please.
Mayor Scott Tremblay.
Bill Colombo, aye.
Oh. Councilman Matt Murphy.
Aye.
Commissioner Ron Oakley.
Aye.
Commissioner Catherine Starkey.
Aye.
Commissioner Jack Mariano.
Aye.
Chairman Lance Smith.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Carl. All right,
Thank you.
the next item is a BPAC position, right?
It is, and that is to formally approve Mr. Jeff Lanier as a member to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee here at the MPO. The committee recommends him.
What was the name?
Jeff Lanier.
Jeff Lanier.
Oh,
Commissioner Mariano, you made approval?
Second.
Motion and second for approval?
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, like sign? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. Let's see. And then now we have a FDOT planning agreement, is that right?
If
or
we
no?
can go ahead, we have an addendum item, which is also an action.
Okay.
It is for the contract. Cindy Gorman will explain that.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, how you doing?
Cindy Gorman, Pasco MPO. We have an addendum to the actual agenda this morning. We apologize for the agreement going on late, but we had to get this in order for the funds to be expended on July 1 on time. This agreement is for our new PL, and it is in the amount of $2.7 million, as you can see here, for the planning funds that Carl previously described in our budget. So we are asking you to review and approve our contract so we can move forward on July 1 to expend those funds.
And this is an agreement with the FDOT, you said?
This is an agreement with the FDOT by way of FHWA and FTA. We have consolidated our grant funds, so that way we have one contract now, which makes a burden of relief in a way, because now we only process our grants 2 times a year versus we had multiple times a year. So thank you, Fdot, for helping us out there.
So it's going to make your job easier, basically?
It will.
Okay. Well, and get money for the county, right?
We have a lot of money for the county, so we like that.
Very
oh, we
good.
like hearing that.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Second.
All right.
Motion
Thank
and
you.
second for approval.
Well, that made it easy.
It was an easy sell, wasn't it?
That was an
Yeah, there
easy
you go,
sell.
There you go. Okay. And this is a regular vote on this, is that correct? Just voice vote, is that right?
Given that it's a contract, why don't we play it safe and do a roll call?
Okay, let's go ahead and a roll call vote.
Bill Colombo.
Aye.
Commissioner Ron Opie,
Aye.
Commissioner Mike Moore, Commissioner Catherine Starkey,
Aye.
Commissioner Jack Mariano,
Aye.
Chairman Lance Smith.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, and our next item is a presentation, correct?
Yes, we have a couple here. I have next on the agenda Go Pasco.
Good morning, James Flaherty, Interim Director, Go Pasco. Since our last meeting, there hasn't been too much that's changed, but we have been working on increasing our ridership numbers. In the near future, you'll be seeing 3 billboards across the county advertising for Go Pasco. We've done a few outreach events to include Operation Stand Down here on the west side. In Dade City, we did Cinco de Mayo. Currently, we have a technology, it's called the ITS, the Transportation Services technology. It's going to track the bus in real time, have an application that people can use on their phone to be able to know where the bus is. It's going to decrease our call volume coming into dispatch. It's going to create more reliability throughout the system. It's currently out in the procurement process. We answered questions from vendors last week, and it should be closing on June 7th. Once we get through that, we will review all the vendor proposals and then bring it to the board for approval. Other than that, currently our fixed route is down about 3% from last year. We're projecting about 500,000 trips this year for fixed route. Our paratransit is up about 5% from last year, and we're projecting between 40 and 42,000 trips this year. Any questions?
Yeah, once had a question about the microtransit, the feasibility study.
Yeah.
Any
I was gonna
progress
ask
on
the
that?
same thing.
So currently, we do not have any studies that are being conducted. There was a potential route expansion and contraction study. Within that, the microtransit study would have been conducted. That has been tabled for about 2 years until an actual director is identified and we can move forward.
Oh,
We can look at potentially doing something internal. If you would like, we could look at a couple different options that are available or locations that are available, but without having technology to support, it would be looking at historical data that we don't technically have.
So what the pot of money that was allocated for that program, what's going on with that
For
then?
the route expansion and contraction study,
For the microtransit?
for the
itself?
microtransit,
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that. I was not aware of a specific study outside of what was in the route expansion and contraction study.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
no, well, first we were looking at the Holiday area on this side, and then it was transitioned over to the Dade City area for microtransit, the microtransit study, so
Right, but my understanding was that they were doing a feasibility study to figure out where the best place would be.
yeah.
And there's a lot of money in that. I forget how many million,
Yeah.
millions of dollars are in there that was given from the state. I'm just kind of wondering what's going on with that.
I will have to look into it.
Yeah.
Again, the only microtransit study that I was aware of was within the recs.
Okay.
I
Can
owe
you
you
get
that
back with
answer.
us on that, please?
Yeah,
Can get you that
absolutely.
answer. Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
And
Commissioner.
I'll go.
I mean, if there's funding available, I would think we'd study all the areas anyway, and just, we could put a plan together, and make decisions as far as what we think is most appropriate.
Right, yeah.
Commissioner
Well,
Stark.
so the recs was supposed to be an all-encompassing county-wide study.
What do you call, what is that study you said?
So it's the route efficiency and
Okay.
contraction study.
So,
All the
may
recs.
I continue
Sure.
on that? So we had money for that study, but now we've turned away the money for the study?
So that agenda item was pulled because there was an issue with the procurement process for the study.
Okay, but just, so we didn't put it back out for bid? Or is that going through, yeah, I kind of got wind of there was some issue.
Right, so I can give you a broad overview of what happened. 2019, 2018 timeframe, actually 2019, 2020 timeframe, Go Pasco attempted to do a comprehensive operational analysis using the MPO's planning contract. It went to the board, it was pulled. A year later, a scope was provided. It went through the procurement process. There were issues with the procurement process, and it's been delayed for 2 years until a new director is identified.
When you're saying it's delayed for 2 years, who decided that we're going to wait 2 years before we do it, try it again?
The county administrator?
Well, is it his decision to do that, or is it our decision?
Anyone?
Anyone? I mean.
I think that's a discussion for you to have perhaps at a county commission meeting with, or one-on-one with the administrator.
Why would we wait?
I think we need
I
the,
understand.
yeah, I think we need the information to find out what happened, so if you would send it to us all, and then we can bring it up at a commission meeting.
Also, I can get with you afterwards to talk the particulars about it.
You what?
I can get with you afterwards to talk the particulars about it.
Well, I have a meeting every 15 minutes today, so, yeah. Depends on when we adjourn here, but I don't know why we would delay it for 2 years. I really don't. I mean, it seems like that was some important information we were gonna get. So, I don't know, maybe we need to talk with Dan.
Sounds like it.
I do want to say, when I was at the ULI, Dan just texted me. But yeah, but that won't be 2 years. That's not going to be in 2 years, wherever you are.
That's a little scary.
Big brother. When I was at the ULI conference, I took a micro-mobility tour, and it was funny because the day before I had done a tour of affordable housing, creative affordable housing. We were on a bus. So I came down ready to get on a bus. I had my iPad and all my stuff, and lo and behold, we were doing our micro-mobility tour on scooters. So I had to run and take my stuff back up and change my shoes. And there were 40 of us, at least 40, zipping around San Diego on scooters. It was fantastic.
I bet it was fun, yeah.
It was fun. They have done road diets and made lanes for micro-mobility opportunities. They have a company called a program called Fred, Free Rides for Everyone. Downtown, I think is what the D stands for. And they've been doing it for at least 5 years. They are glorified golf carts. They're electric vehicles that have 2 rows of seats and maybe one in the front. I'm not sure if someone sits in the front. And you have an app, and I actually used it to get to the rental car place the next day. You just go on the app, you call it up, and they come pick you up. And there's 20 circulating, and it's all day until I think 9 or 10 at night on a work night, and on the weekend it goes to like 1. But they said it's really eliminated a lot of the let them have less parking spaces downtown, and it's free mobility all around, and it was very cool.
Yeah.
So I think they're in Florida, in South Florida somewhere, this company, Fred. So it was pretty cool. And then I did a Segway tour in Texas after that, and I fell, and my girlfriend fell, and I bruised or scraped every one of my arms and legs. And I've determined that scooters are much safer than Segways. Much safer. So when you want to stop on a Segway, on a scooter, you just slow down, step off. You touch something on a Segway, it spins you 365 degrees and throws you into the street. So both my friend and I got all banged up. And it wasn't my first Segway. So anyway, I'm looking forward to the day when we have more micro-mobility
Yeah.
in the county. Yeah.
Commissioner?
Thank you. And, that's a great point, because when we talk about redevelopment up and down 19 in the cities, et cetera, you have trouble with meeting parking requirements that we currently have. And if we could minimize the amount of parking we need with the same reason with the scooters, et cetera, it would make a lot of sense, be a great way to go.
Yeah, it's, they have bollards and, that protect the users. They have lights that, when you come to an intersection, there's a bike light that works before the other red light goes for the cars. So it's a separate light for the bikes. And some of the roads, they turned into one-way, so they had the room for the micro-mobility. And it was fascinating. So we went all over San Diego on that. So.
And I think what you're saying is very important, because more and more, that's an attraction. That's the reason somebody goes somewhere, is just what you're talking about. The ability to get around without having to get in the car
Yeah.
and worry about a parking
Yeah.
spot. That's important, and I think that kind of emphasizes the importance to go ahead. We don't need to wait 2 years to do this
Yeah,
study. You know?
and let me say that I'm 64, there were people far older than me scooting around in San Diego, all sizes and shapes, and my scooter actually had a little seat on it, so I could sit down when I wanted, and I could stand up when I wanted. So I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Commissioner, I like hearing what you're saying, and Commissioner Mariano on the west side, being in Port Richey, parking, mobility is a serious issue on the west side, because it's the older part of the city, or of the county, I should say, and that is an issue that would really be, if we could have remote parking, like Newport Richey put up a parking garage, and they are in fact have a couple of one vehicle, I believe, electric vehicle running now, and they have another one coming online soon, solving the issue down there. We could certainly use that in different areas up and down the west side of the county, the Highway 19 corridor, absolutely.
Just think if we had different zones. Now, okay, and Tina probably knows this. Here's what challenges us. Those golf carts can only operate on roads with speeds of 35 miles or less. So you have to stay in certain zones. But if you picture different quadrants of Holiday and Newport Richey and Port Richey and within Zephyr Hills areas, I could see where we could make some areas where you could have this kind of mobility, these golf cart things going around, and you just call them up on an app.
And of course, the problem on the west side too is, as y'all are well aware, Highway 19 being the main artery
Right.
going north and south, and being a road which has very old historic routes. As it's expanded over the years, the right-of-way is virtually non-existent over there. So it would be lovely if we could put golf cart trails or trails that could run EVs, like you were saying, up and down 19, but it's bumping into the right-of-way issues. It's trying to find that route that comes down the west side of Pasco County that's not essentially infringing on DOT right-of-way. I don't know how that could possibly be addressed.
That's the future.
But the thing is, in your own mind, we're talking about it now, to actually get the thing, even after the study, we're talking 5 years at best, that's best, probably 10 years,
Oh,
So
definitely down the road,
we've got to
no
push
doubt about it.
We've got to push it
Right.
now.
And I've heard other studies basically saying that, DOT would obviously like to move 19 away from being a major thoroughfare and push traffic inland, which potentially in the future, probably past my future, could reduce the side of DOT as a normal vehicular traffic lane and actually open it up to that sort of mobility. But like you said, that's far in the future.
Right. But any help you can give us on getting the thing pushed, the commissioners too, I think that'd be very, very much welcome. So, and thank you for filling in today too.
Thank you.
And you were James, is that right? James Flaherty?
James Flaherty.
Okay, thank you, James.
Still is.
All right, now we have our presentation, correct?
Good morning. My name is Brian Passara. I'm a principal planner with Brt. Since May of 2019, Brt has been working, as you may probably already know, the PD&E study for the regional rapid transit. This is the 41-mile bus rapid transit system that would connect Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas counties, going from Wesley Chapel all the way down to St. Petersburg. To quote the Beatles, it's been a long and winding road. Recently, our consultant WSP has been working on the concept of operations. We presented that concept of operations to the Brt board a few months ago, and Commissioner Starkey just asked if we could come to this board and just kind of give you an update and give you a presentation on the RRT concept of operations. Scott Pringle from WSP is the consultant that's been working on this, and he is going to be presenting to you virtually today. So I will hand it over to Scott.
Good morning, Chair and board members. As Brian introduced, Scott Pringle with WSP, and we've been helping Brt for several years in developing the regional rapid transit project concept. So as Brian mentioned, we'll give you a quick overview of some of the things that we've accomplished and some of the things that we're working on now. First and foremost, the purpose of this project is to make sure that we're looking at modern mobility that provides quick, safe, reliable, and frequent, and probably most importantly, regional service that connects Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas County. Now, this effort really builds upon several years of technical analysis, and even some additional analysis probably before then. As of last year, we brought forward a technical recommendation for what we call the locally preferred alternative. So this is what would be the concept for the project moving forward. Now, this first initial discussion at the Brt board occurred early 2021. We had a great conversation, and thank you, Commissioner Starkey, for all your input. And we did a number of different kind of validation and fact checks and compared this technical recommendation to a whole series of other options to make sure that what was brought forward as that locally preferred alternative really is the best solution for the Tampa Bay region. So what you see on screen here is what was adopted by the Brt board of August last year as that locally preferred alternative. And I'll describe this concept in a little bit more detail. So anywhere on this map where you see that purple color, we're identifying that as an opportunity for what we call freeway-based BRT lanes. So the opportunity here is to look at the shoulders of the I-275 corridor and really maximize those shoulders and use them for transit service that can occur all day long. Now, this would be accomplished by wide shoulders that have full depth pavement to allow the impact of that transit vehicle running on it on a daily basis. And within that, we'd have about 12 foot of space that allows us to run that transit vehicle all the way from St. Pete up to Wesley Chapel. Now, where we have those shoulder running BRT lanes is starting in downtown St. Pete, making a direct connection to the PSTA Sunrunner, working our way up to the Howard Franklin Bridge. But going across the Howard Franklin Bridge, we're looking at using the express lanes that Fdot is constructing right now on the Howard Franklin span. When we get into Hillsborough at West Shore, we'll be in general traffic between West Shore and downtown Tampa. And then from Tampa north, we would again be in those outside shoulders, and that provides that frequency of service, that reliability of service, all the way from downtown Tampa into Pasco, into Wesley Chapel. Now in Pasco, we do have 2 stops proposed, one near State Route 54 and one near State Route 56. So as Brian mentioned, some of the things we've been working on since that adoption of the LPA is how does the service actually operate? What would it actually look like? And we've also had some really great recent conversations about the type of vehicle that should be used in the project. And I'll talk a little bit about that in the next couple of slides. Now, moving forward to the rest of this year, we're really focused on working with the Federal Transit Agency. We've been coordinating with them regularly over the past several months to do our environmental compliance and complete that environmental compliance by the end of this year. So in terms of that operation, a lot of folks, when I'm out and kind of describing the project, really think of the project as an A to B service that starts in St. Pete and goes all the way up to Wesley Chapel. Well, as each one of you are aware, that's really not how people travel along I-275. There's a number of different travel markets within the I-275 corridor. And our service for the RRT project mirrors that. And we actually are looking at 4 different routes that serve each one of those individual travel markets. We're looking at potentially 22 diesel hybrid vehicles to run the service on a daily basis. But like I mentioned, we just had a good conversation with the Brt board about actually going all electric, which may require a little bit more infrastructure and a few more vehicles, but certainly an opportunity. You can see here that we're really looking at a service that runs all day long from 6 a.m. into the late evening to 10 p.m., allowing not only just the folks working sort of that traditional 9-to-5 job, but service workers, and really providing that equity to serve residents along the corridor. In our most intense areas near downtown Tampa, we have what we call an effective frequency of a bus will come about every 7.5 minutes, but that's because of the overlap that you're seeing in these 4 routes. So I'm going to start off first, working from Wesley Chapel into Hillsborough. Our Route A starts at State Route 54 and carries all the way down into West Shore. You can see it touches 56, then it goes to USF, downtown Tampa, West Shore, and the airport. So what's unique about this is in the USF area, we would actually come off of the interstates and use Fowler Avenue to get a direct connection to the campus. Same idea when we're on West Shore. The idea is coming off the corridor and making a direct connection to the rental car facility at the airport. So this Route A would operate every 15 minutes during the peak. And like I said, the benefits here is you get a 1-seat ride from Wesley Chapel to downtown Tampa and even to the airport. Now, during the off-peak times, again, mirroring that travel market that we saw from the technical analysis, we'd continue that service, but it's really going to be focused between Wesley Chapel and the USF campus, where it would come every 15 minutes and really just kind of focusing on that connection between USF and Wesley Chapel. Now, Route C is really focused on getting folks from USF to West Shore, kind of that Tampa urban core. This would also be 15 minutes during the off-peak, and this would also have that connection to the campus as well as to the airport. When we look at St. Pete to Tampa, we're actually looking at 15-minute service all day, connecting right to the Sunrunner and downtown St. Pete, up through Gateway into West Shore, with a direct connection into downtown Tampa, and you can see that route here shown in red. So as I mentioned, the things that we're working on now through the rest of 2022 is working with the federal government to get our environmental compliance. We've had great conversations at the board in terms of how we run the service and potentially electrifying the service. And what we're actually looking for is we're anticipating that this project could be up and running by 2030. And the impetus for that is we want to be in lockstep with what Fdot's doing on the interstate, because there's a lot of opportunities for partnership between the department and this project. And to be honest, and kind of selfishly, that partnership really helps reduce the cost for the transit project, because we can leverage some of those federal highway dollars to the benefit of transit. So with that, Mr. Chair, that concludes our brief update on the RRT, and we'll take any questions.
Scott, we appreciate that. It was very informative. Any questions for Scott?
Well, Scott, will we be making a presentation on the US 19 study that's going on as well?
I would refer to Brian, but I would
Okay.
assume that would be
So-
acceptable.
The short answer to that is yes. I've given brief updates on the US 19 study to the Technical Advisory Committee, but at your pleasure, I'd be more than happy to come
Yeah.
up and give you an update on that one.
We'll have you come back and give an update on that. But, as most of you know, I think, that we are the largest MSA in the country without any transit. That's multi-county. And this is our first hope that we can get something going. We are in the midst of talking with CSX, and at one time, CSX was going to sell the line, but apparently they decided that they're not going to sell their line anymore. They would lease it to us. And I'm not sure where we are on those talks. I have a meeting coming up, but it's far more expensive way to go. I think one day we probably will have rail coming around, but certainly BRT is something that is where a lot of areas have gone, and it's like dipping your toe in a regional system. So I'm hopeful that we're all on board except for Hillsborough. But at our meeting last week, it seemed like Commissioner, what's her name? Overman was signaling that maybe they're starting to think regionally, and certainly every commissioner that was there at the summit on affordable housing and transit, every county was saying how we had to get something like this going. So hopefully we will. Commissioner Mariano.
Commissioner Mariano?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, in thinking about the long term, I mean, when you just said 2030, that was kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah.
We're talking about bus rapid transit with some improvements. I don't think that well, maybe the infrastructure would take a bit more time. But with all the development commercially and industrial going up at State Road 52, I'm thinking if we're going to go that far out to 2030, maybe that should be taken a look at as well.
I am sure that, I think they probably will start with the core and move out. And so I'm sure that it will go to 52 and maybe to 50 one day. But I think the idea is that you start with a core and move out.
And, you know, when we first looked at this, I thought we were talking about something that was going to be about a 5-year deal to get it through. Hearing now with all the studies that's been done, we're still going to push it back out to 2030. If we're going to have all that industrial land and commercial development up there, I mean, if we're going that far out, we might as well take a really close look at that as well. I know it's hard enough to get it done, what we got.
Yeah, and it, you know, we have to put the money in, so we have to, it's going to be a cost for us just to do the 56 and 54, so we kind of have to pace ourselves too.
Yeah.
But certainly if we're planning for it, we always need to plan for it, so it's cheaper in the long run, right? If you plan for it, then you don't incur as many costs.
There is a state police barracks that's there on the eastern side that just sits there, that if we're going to be looking, at least maybe we should even take a look at that parcel if we're going to look at for a place to park and ride. That may be the best place to use coming up for the future. Last thought I have with Tropicana Field, with the weekends going a little bit later, or they stay at the same time?
So I guess the question is weekend service, what are they different than weekday service?
Right, and did you say it runs to like 11 o'clock?
Yeah, for that, I might have to defer to Scott. Scott, off the top of your head, do you know if the hours of service differ from weekday to weekend?
The frequency differs, but the hours of service are about the same. However, the nice thing with bus rapid transit, it's very flexible. If there's an event, whether it's in downtown Tampa or downtown St. Pete, you could easily flex additional service to accommodate those folks going to the ball game.
Okay, because sometimes the Rays, after they have their night game on a Saturday, they'll have a concert going afterwards. So I hate to see someone, all right, I can get down there, but I can't get back. So we can avoid that situation and accommodate. That's great. Thank you.
Anyone else? And I do think that it is pretty exciting that somebody could go to Wesley Chapel, catch a bus to the airport, you know. And really what you just said kind of hit me. For us to be the largest metropolitan area that doesn't have it, it's kind of a little embarrassing, you know, just a little bit, because almost anywhere else you go, you can catch the bus from the airport to close to where you're going. And I mean, I'm glad we're studying this. I hope this pushes through. I hope it's before 2030. So, but that, you couple it with the micro that we're talking about, that's what we've got to start doing. We've got to get these cars off, people out of their cars, and get them into transit. It's a more efficient way to move people. And if you've ever been stuck, and as we get stuck on coming over here on 54, 56, I mean, I can see we got to think about these long-term solutions. We got to be serious about it too. So thank you for that presentation, and just keep us posted any way we can help push the thing.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Scott.
you. Thanks, Scott.
I would just like to add quickly, again, we're a county that's far wider than it is tall, and we're sitting right now on the west side. And I've been looking at these projects over the years, and very rarely have I heard any discussion that connects the west side to the east side. And I really would like the MPO to focus a little bit more on that. I know it's expensive, but again, obviously, I think there was an article in the paper today saying Pasco County is the fastest growing county in the state right now, which is obviously on the east side, and that's where a lot of the focus has been. But it's, again, there's a lot of people in a lot of areas of this county, and for me to drive to Wesley Chapel from Port Richey to grab a bus down to the airport, there's very little reason for me not just go ahead and drive to the airport.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and I think my thought is there's got to be another extension to that type of route that would be a 19 extension or something like that.
I mean, even looking at that, even in Pinellas County, all of that's on the bay side of the county. And, you know, there's a lot of folks along the beach side. Obviously, that's where I grew up down there, so I'm familiar with that area too. So, but again, as Mr. Mariano pointed out, decent transit to the Rays games would be a big boon to the Rays. And we all know that there are attendance issues down there, and one of the big issues is it's a bear to live on the other side of the bay and get to the games and get back again, especially if you have a, you know, a start time that's bumping up against rush hour. It's crazy. So, you know, there should be some involvement from the team on that aspect too, because this is of serious benefit to them.
Okay, Commissioner Mariano.
Yeah, Councilman Colombo, you're on the money, and you bring up a good point about east-west. And I know Commissioner Oakley, when he was running, and we talked about 52 being our connector going all the way across, and the improvements have been made, and working with DOT, they've been great to speed up that process as well. But there is another alternative, too, coming up that we can look at, too, is Ridge Road going
The
across.
Ridge Road extension, yeah.
Ridge Road can connect to Overpass. There's a section toward the end where it gets a little bit tricky, but it can go all the way out and then go all the way to Zephyr Hills.
And you got right-of-ways
There's
out
probably
there,
something
too.
this MPO should be start looking at and start bringing it forward, especially now we've got the success of getting our first extension of Ridge Road, getting done to Sun Lake with 41 coming up thereafter.
And again, like you said, with a new road, you know, right-of-ways and, you know, for alternative methods of public transportation, there's the room for it. You're not already locked in.
Yeah,
Great.
good thoughts.
Anything else?
You have a question?
Sure.
But it's not on Scott's presentation, it's on something else. Are you
Okay.
ready for regular stuff?
Sure.
I brought it up at the board meeting last week, and that is the extension of Osteen, connecting Osteen. Is this the right forum, or would that be at the county commission where I'm going to keep talking about it? So they need to connect. I mean, there's, I think, 2 houses in the way of those 2 roads connecting. And so this is where, and if you want to pull it up there, if you could do Google Earth and just maybe type in Wendell Crinn High School. Right now, there's 2 routes into an area where you have 4 schools. Orchid Lake, and I don't remember what the name of the one is that comes down off of Ridge, that takes you to where Marchman is and the elementary school. But Mrs. Osteen, I think, had blocked the continuation of Osteen Road, but she's no longer there. I'm not sure she's with us anymore, I'm not sure. But county has easements, and it's a very, very simple connection to connect those 2, and it would greatly relieve the Little and Ridge Road interchange.
Got a map?
It would relieve a lot of interchanges if there was more interspersed. So I think you need to go to satellite view. Well, you can I guess you can see it there too. No, push it up. Push the whole map. No, the other way, sorry. So you see Pepin there? And you see this road in front of Pepin, Osteen? And then there's a gap there. Yeah. And just those need to be connected. There really aren't any. If you go to satellite view, you'll see that when you enter, to get into this school complex on Orchid Lake, you're going in front of everyone's driveways. All the houses there are fronting Orchid Lake. My staff, we did a count. I think it's 133 houses that front on that road and that are affected by this connection not being made. But if that connects to these somehow, then, and there is no one fronting Osteen Road to the south. Those are side roads, and there's a easement, and there's a backyards. So it's just such an easy connection, and it makes so much sense, because otherwise, to get into this complex, if you're coming from the south, you got to go up Little, through the interchange of Ridge, and then south, or down Ridge and up. Is that Congress there? What is it where it's Orchid Lake on the other side here? Keep going to the west. Keep going, you're a little south there. Keep going. Now, yeah, you see where Orchid Lake connects to the, I think it's called Congress there. You need to move the map down. No, other way, up, whatever. Rowan. So right now, that's the way you go in, is Rowan to Orchid Lake. And you're going in front of all those houses. So there needs to be just one more addition. And so the parents bringing their kids to Pepin, which is a special needs charter school, it's really adding a lot of time to their drop-off and pickup time, because they don't have any transportation to their school. And the same with Wendell Crinn. Wendell Crinn is now a special school, a STEM school, and it doesn't have transportation either. So it's just something that I really feel we should look at. There are a couple places in the county where we have these roads that need to connect. And this is one that I'm determined to get moving before I leave here. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
And keep that map right where it is. Commissioner Stark, I'm glad you just brought this up, because we talked yesterday about making some connection over to Little Road 2 for that area. But look at Calabash and Kinross right there.
yeah,
Look
what's
how
going
small
on?
that connection is. And then if you take Blueberry Drive, if you slide the map over, right to Little Road.
You're absolutely right.
Why aren't we doing that?
Or is it connected and that's
I
a
mean,
tree in the way?
is that,
No, you're right. It's
Look at that. That's like nothing.
Yeah.
Now you take all those trips on Little Road and bring them right across, right to
you
there.
you
and that
almost wonder if
gets you there,
that, you almost wonder if that was a natural waterway for Orchid
It
Lake.
could be, but you can bridge
You know,
those.
yeah, obviously, one could go over it, but I'm saying as to why there's that break there, it might have been something an outflow out of Orchid Lake, and it was lowlands, and they just ended, because there
What a
was.
perfect spot that would be,
Yeah.
to do that one too. Maybe these two projects, along with, I think, we should have projects on the future of Penny for Pasco, we should add these things in. And if it's a funding issue, let's let it be out there.
Yeah, I just think these need to be investigated. But Osteen, we have an easement.
What's going on up above Pepin Academy? I mean, there appears to be something between that break there. It's almost like it goes from a paved to a dirt road or a private road.
Yeah, I don't know what that's going on there.
I mean, there's definitely something there.
Yeah,
As to whose property that is, I don't
yeah.
know, but.
There could be another connection.
Well, and Carl, on this, is this, I mean, on something like this, is this an MPO issue or
More of a county issue.
or a county?
Yeah, that's my question.
This would likely be something under the jurisdiction of the county, looking at the roads and what the funding would be. But we are
Okay.
coordinating very carefully with county engineering, and we'll gladly speak with them.
Yeah, and I think these are good things because, like you said, it's a small, you would think it would be a small financial issue, but it would make a big impact for the people who drive on those roads.
And, Mr. Chairman, if I could?
Yes.
And I think that Blueberry Drive connection there going across, you add that in, you add that road, and I'm glad Councilman Colombo just pointed that out, that roadway looks like it's already there. If you add those two connections, that's going to minimize all the Osteen
Correct.
Road trips that would happen anyway.
Yeah, the more
So-
connections you have, the more
The better it would
traffic's
be. So I
dispersed, the
think
better
those-
everyone is.
I think
Yeah, I
we
mean,
should
that
look
may
all
already
three.
be county right away. It's just a matter of going in and paving it.
Right.
I think you got all three to look at.
Right, and it would kind of make sense to do those projects all at the same time, too, engineering
Mobilization.
and then everything, so,
Okay.
well, good. And certainly, I'm glad you brought this up, too, because I think these are very worthy things to consider.
Yeah.
So I'll wait for you under your committee reports at the next meeting to bring these up.
Yeah, well, I brought it up last meeting. I don't bring it up
Now we
again.
get more input on that.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Fitzpatrick wasn't happy, but,
I think these two other additions will minimize the effect.
we have some people that say they don't want it to change because they like it the way it is, but it's a NIMBY kind of thing,
The whole county.
it needs to be for the greater good
Yep.
many times. That's our job. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Anything else for us? You have anything for us, Carl, that we need to know about? No?
Nothing more.
Okay. One other thing. James.
Just a point of clarification, James Flaherty, Go Pasco Interim Director. Dan said it's 6 to 9 months
Yeah.
delayed, not 2 years. My apologies.
Very good. Thank you for that info, too. All right, anything else from the committee here? If not, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you again for coming.